The war had lasted for 14 long years. Across the cold darkness of space, fleets had risen and fleets had burned. But in every major battle, one name echoed in whispers, a name that turned courage into fear. Bloodstorm. It was no ordinary warship built by the Zorath Dominion. Bloodstorm was the most dangerous vessel the galaxy had ever seen. Its black hull seemed to drink in the starlight. Its weapons could burn through planetary shields in seconds. And under the command of Captain Varak, it had destroyed 73 worlds. No fleet had ever stopped it. No commander had ever survived facing it. The latest victims were the people of Orion Prime. Their defense grid had held for exactly 6 minutes before collapsing. Thousands of escape pods floated aimlessly in space, drifting like tiny sparks in the darkness. Inside the Bloodstorm's command deck, Captain Varak watched with cold, unblinking eyes. "Set course for the next target," he ordered. His voice was calm, but there was a cruel satisfaction hidden in the tone. A young officer hesitated. "Sir, the next target is Earth." There was a silence on the bridge. For most in the galaxy, Earth was a forgotten world, small, remote, with no advanced fleet to defend itself. The crew expected their captain to smile, but Varak's expression didn't change. "A world is a world," he said finally, "and this one will fall like all the others." Far away, on the other side of the galaxy, a meeting was taking place inside the Galactic Council chamber. Dozens of alien representatives filled the massive circular hall, their voices overlapping in chaos. The news had reached them. Bloodstorm was moving towards the Sol system. "The humans are not prepared for this," one reptilian ambassador hissed. "They have no fleet strong enough," another added. "We should warn them," a third voice said. But the room erupted in bitter laughter. Everyone knew Earth had no real military power in space. Their technology was a century behind. Even if they tried to resist, they would be swept aside in hours. But when the Council's communication link opened to Earth's representative, something strange happened. The human ambassador, a gray-haired man with calm eyes, listened quietly to the warnings. "Bloodstorm will arrive in 5 days," the Zorath ambassador said smugly. "If you value your world, evacuate. We will not intervene." The human simply replied, "We appreciate the concern, but we will handle it." The words sent a ripple of confusion through the chamber. Handle it against Bloodstorm. It was madness. Yet the man's voice carried no fear, no doubt. Back in the Sol system, the skies above Earth were clear. But deep underground, far beneath the mountains of Alaska, a sleeping giant stirred. The hangar lights flickered on, revealing a massive warship covered in dust and shadow. Its armor was old, its paint faded, its design from a forgotten era. Most who saw it would call it outdated junk, but the engineers and officers working around it treated it like a holy relic. This was the Aegis, a warship older than the current Galactic Council itself. No one outside Earth knew it existed. Official records said it had been dismantled a century ago. In truth, it had been hidden away, waiting. Captain Elias Ward walked along the deck, his boots echoing on the steel floor. He was a tall man with sharp features and eyes that seemed to see through lies. "How long until she's ready?" he asked the chief engineer. 3 days, came the reply. "If we push the reactors any harder, we risk overload." "We don't have 3 days," Ward said. "Bloodstorm will be here in 5. I want her ready in 2. Meanwhile, in the black void of deep space, Bloodstorm cut through the stars. like a predator. Inside the command room, Varak studied the battle records of Earth's last known fleet. Weak, outdated, laughable. This would be the easiest conquest of his career. Yet, for reasons he couldn't explain, he felt watched. "Sir," his sensor officer said suddenly. "Long-range scans detected a faint power surge on Earth. It's unusual." Varric raised an eyebrow. "What kind of surge?" "Old tech. Very old. But powerful. I've never seen this configuration before." The captain leaned back in his chair, his mind turning over possibilities. "Interesting. Perhaps the humans will try to surprise us." He smirked. "Let them try." On Earth, the Aegis massive engines came to life for the first time in a century. The deep roar echoed through the mountain, shaking the very ground. One by one, her systems lit up. Shields, weapon arrays, targeting systems. The ship's AI, dormant for decades, opened its glowing blue eyes. "Welcome back, Captain Ward," the AI said, its voice calm and clear. "It's been a long time," Ward replied. "We've got an enemy coming. One you were never meant to face." The AI paused for a moment. "Bloodstorm," it said. It wasn't a question. "You know of it. I know enough, and I know how to end it." Above the Earth, the moon reflected the cold light of the distant sun, but in 5 days, that light would be replaced by fire. The most dangerous ship in the galaxy was coming, and the humans, the species everyone thought was weak, were about to reveal the truth. The news spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Bloodstorm was coming for Earth. For most, it was just another tragic headline. Another weak world about to be erased. But for those inside the Galactic Council, the reaction was sharper, a mix of curiosity and disbelief. The humans had given no calls for aid, no requests for evacuation. They simply said, "We will handle." It in the Council's great chamber, tension simmered. A dozen alien leaders sat in a circle of silver thrones, their faces scaled, furred, and kitten-covered, fixed on the human ambassador. The Zorath representative, his skin patterned in dark red stripes, leaned forward with a predator's grin. "Ambassador Holt," he said, his voice carrying through the chamber. "Are you suggesting that your planet has the means to destroy the Bloodstorm?" Holt didn't blink. "I'm suggesting," he said quietly, "that we have the means to make sure it never reaches Earth alive." The chamber went silent. It was not the volume of his voice, but the certainty in it that made the other delegates uneasy. Holt gave no further explanation, no defensive speech. He simply stood, straightened his jacket, and left the chamber, far from the shining towers of the Council's capital. In the icy wilderness of Alaska, preparations had begun in earnest. The hidden hangar, a vast underground chamber carved into solid rock, was alive with motion. Engineers in grey uniforms moved like ants across the hull of the sleeping warship. Tools sparked, lifts wind, and the deep metallic hum of awakened systems filled the air. Captain Elias Ward stood at the command rail, watching it all. "How's the reactor coming?" he called down to the chief engineer. The man looked up, wiping grease from his hands. "Fusion cores are stable. The antimatter chamber is sealed and ready, but—" he hesitated. "But—" Ward's voice was sharp. "This ship's power output is dangerous, sir. The weapons you're asking to activate, they were banned. For a reason." Ward's gaze didn't waver. "We don't have the luxury of safe options. Bloodstorm has never been stopped. I intend to change that." Deep inside the Aegis, the ship's AI monitored every system. Its voice came over the speakers, calm but with a faint echo, as though it was speaking from another lifetime. "Captain, all primary weapon systems are online. Should I prepare the Nova Lance?" Ward paused. The Nova Lance was a weapon that had never been used in recorded history. Its energy beam could slice a capital ship in half in a single shot. The Council had outlawed it a century ago, calling it too destructive, too uncontrollable. "Yes," Ward said finally. "Prepare." The AI's core pulsed with a faint blue glow. "Understood." 3 days away, Bloodstorm moved like a black arrow through the stars. In the command deck, Captain Varick was reviewing scans of Earth. "Primitive defenses," his tactical officer said. "Orbital weapons are minimal. No fleet stationed in system. This will be easy." But then, the sensor officer spoke again. "Sir, we're detecting something strange. Energy readings from beneath Earth's surface." "What kind of readings?" Varick asked. "They match nothing in our database. The power output is enormous, far beyond what their technology should allow." Varick's lips curled in. "Interest. Perhaps these humans have teeth after all." He leaned forward in his chair. "Good. Let them bring their weapon. It will make destroying them sweeter." Back on Earth, the Aegis was finally ready. The hangar doors, each the size of a skyscraper, began to slide open, letting in the pale light of an Arctic dawn. Ice and snow blew into the cavern as the ship's massive thrusters roared to life. Dust and frost fell from the ceiling, as the entire mountain seemed to shake. Inside the command bridge, Captain Ward took his seat. His crew, hand-picked and sworn to secrecy, moved quickly to their stations. Each one knew they might not return. "All systems green," the navigator reported. "Then let's take her up," Ward said. With a deep rumble, the Aegis rose from the hangar floor, engines burning like miniature suns. The ship cleared the mountain peak and climbed into the pale morning sky. Clouds tore apart around its hull, and moments later it broke free of Earth's atmosphere, emerging into the cold black of space. The AI's voice echoed through the bridge. "Captain, we are on an intercept course with Bloodstorm. Estimated contact in 72 hours. Ward's eyes narrowed. "Let's make it 50. Far away, in the council chamber, news of the Aegis launch reached the alien leaders. Many had never heard of the ship, those who had went pale at the name, the Aegis. One insectoid delegate whispered, "I thought it was destroyed." "It should have been destroyed," another replied. "That ship was banned for good. Reason, if it's truly active." The alien shivered, its chitin plates clicking. "Then Bloodstorm is in trouble." In the darkness of space, both predators now moved towards each other. One was the galaxy's deadliest hunter, undefeated in battle. The other was a relic from a forgotten war, armed with weapons the galaxy had sworn never to use again. Somewhere between them, the void waited, silent, cold, and endless. In a few days, it would burn with light and fire. The emptiness of deep space stretched endlessly between the stars. Somewhere in that cold ocean, two predators were moving toward each. One born from the galaxy's most advanced war technology, the other a relic from a forgotten age. In less than 48 hours, they would meet. On board Bloodstorm, Captain Varick stood on the forward deck, hands clasped behind his back. His red eyes were locked on the holographic projection of Earth, glowing faintly in the dark. Around him, the alien crew moved with silent precision. "Any change in their defenses?" he asked. The sensor officer replied, "None. except for that single ship, still on course to intercept us. Varric studied the incoming data. The Aegis was large, but slow compared to modern warships. Its design was crude by today's standards, but its energy output, that was strange. Too high for its size, too stable for old tech. "Bring us within range in 20 hours, Varric ordered. "I want to see what these humans think they're hiding." On the Aegis, Captain Elias Ward sat in the command chair, eyes fixed on the star map. Bloodstorm's course was a straight, unbroken line toward them. No hesitation, no fear. "How's the Nova, Lance?" he asked. The weapons officer replied, "Charged and stable. But Captain, firing it will reveal our full capabilities immediately." Ward gave a faint smile. "That's the point." The AI's voice filled the bridge. "Captain, based on Bloodstorm's past battle tactics, they will open with a frontal plasma barrage, then attempt a flanking maneuver. I recommend letting them think the first volley has damaged us." Ward leaned forward. "You're suggesting we play dead?" Briefly, the AI replied, "It will bring them close enough for a clean strike." The hours slipped away. In the void between Mars and Jupiter, the two ships finally came into visual range. Bloodstorm emerged first, a jagged black silhouette against the distant sun, its hull absorbing light until it looked like a hole in reality itself. The Aegis appeared moments later, silver armor gleaming faintly, every gun battery locked forward. Both ships slowed. Space itself seemed to hold its breath. Varric's voice came through the comm channel, translated into crisp English, human. "Vessel, this is Captain Varric of the Zorath Dominion. You will stand down and surrender your ship. Your planet will follow." Ward's reply was calm. "Captain Varric, you've made a career out of burning worlds, but this time you picked the wrong one." Varric chuckled, a low, cruel sound, bold words for a relic. He gestured to his weapons officer. "Fire." Forward cannons erupted, hurling a wall of plasma across the void. The blast lit the darkness like a newborn sun, smashing into the Aegis shields with bone-rattling force. Warning, alarms flared red across Ward's bridge, shields holding at 60%, the tactical officer reported. "Good, Ward," said quietly. "Drop them." The officer turned in shock. "Sir, drop them," Ward repeated. The shields powered down instantly, leaving the Aegis exposed. Another barrage slammed into the ship's armor, ripping away entire plating sections. The Aegis spun slightly, drifting, engines flickering. To anyone watching, it looked like the ship had been crippled. Varric's grin widened, pathetic. "Move us in. Finish them." Bloodstorm surged forward, closing the gap. Its weapons primed for the final strike. Inside the Aegis, Ward's voice was steady. "Weapons. Now." The AI's tone was almost serene. Firing Nova Lenser. The darkness split apart. From the Aegis forward cannon, a single beam of pure white energy lanced through space. It was silent, but its light was blinding, cutting through Bloodstorm's shields as though they were paper. The beam didn't stop. It carved a molten scar the length of the alien warship, venting fire and atmosphere into the void. On Bloodstorm's bridge, alarms screamed. Shields down. Hull breach in sectors 4 through 7. The officer shouted. Varric's claws dug into the railing. "Return fire. Everything we've got." Missiles, plasma, and kinetic rounds tore toward the Aegis, but this time the human ship's shields flared back to life. The impacts splashed harmlessly across its surface. Ward stood from his chair. Target their primary reactor. Target locked, the weapons officer said. Fire. The Aegis launched a second strike. Not the Nova Lance this time, but a concentrated salvo of railgun slugs moving at near light speed. They punched through Bloodstorm's armor and into its reactor chamber. A chain of secondary explosions rippled down the alien ship's spine. The great warship staggered in space, its engines flickering, but it didn't fall. On Bloodstorm's bridge, Verac's eyes burned with fury. They think they've won, he growled. We'll show them what it means to face the Bloodstorm. He slammed his fist into the command console. Activate the null field. A strange ripple spread out from Bloodstorm's hull, distorting the very starlight around it. Inside the Aegis, lights flickered. Captain, the AI warned, energy. Systems are fluctuating. They've deployed an antimatter suppression field. Our weapons are offline in 2 minutes. Ward's jaw tightened. Then we end this before that happens. Asterisk, the red glow spreading across Bloodstorm's hull was unlike anything the Aegis crew had ever seen. It pulsed, slow and deep, as if the massive warship was drawing breath before a killing strike. The void around it shimmered, a ripple. In the black, bending starlight like heat over metal. On the Aegis bridge, warning tones echoed. Captain, the tactical officer said, his voice tight, energy readings are spiking beyond our upper sensors. I think they're rewriting local physics. Ward kept his eyes on the forward display. Explain. The AI's voice was calm, but the undertone was sharp. They are creating a gravity inversion field. When it reaches full power, it will collapse space between us, drag us directly into their firing zone, no matter what course we set. On Bloodstorm, Captain Verec stood like a shadow against the crimson light of his control panels. His crew moved with desperate efficiency, but his voice was calm, almost pleased. They think they can wound us and survive. Now they will see the truth. Once they are inside the inversion field, we will fire the Singularity Lance. No ship has ever escaped it. His second officer hesitated. Sir, activating the Lance will consume half our core. If it fails, it won't fail, Verac snapped. The humans will die, and the galaxy will remember who rules these stars. Pull of the inversion field began almost gently, like a faint current under the hull. But within minutes, the Aegis engines were fighting against a force that felt like an invisible tide dragging them forward. Thrusters to maximum, Ward ordered. The deck vibrated under his boots as the great ship strained to hold position. Outside, stars seemed to stretch and warp, bending toward Bloodstorm's burning silhouette. The AI's voice cut in again. Captain, their weapon is charging at an exponential rate. Based on energy density, it will not simply destroy us. It will collapse our ship into a micro-singularity. There will be nothing left to recover. Ward's crew exchanged grim looks. One officer whispered, "We should pull back." Ward didn't move. "No, we close the distance." The bridge went silent. "Sir?" the navigator asked, shocked. Ward's eyes were hard. "If we try to run, the field will drag us in. Slowly. If we go forward under our own power, we can choose our angle of approach and hit them before they fire." It was madness, charging directly into the maw of the most dangerous ship in the galaxy. But no one on the bridge argued. On Bloodstorm, Varric watched the human ship accelerate toward them, slicing through the distortion field like a spear. His grin widened. "They're making it easier." Lance at 70%, his weapons officer reported. The Aegis shuddered as it cut through the thickening gravity distortion. Armor plates groaned, metal joints screamed under the pressure. Inside, sparks rained from a ceiling conduit, and one console blew out in a burst of smoke. Structural integrity at 82%, the engineer shouted. "Hold it together," Ward said. "Weapons, target their forward ventral plating," the AI interrupted. "Captain, I have detected a pattern in the Lance's charge sequence. If we can destabilize its magnetic containment at precisely the right moment, it will backfire." "How precise?" "Within 3 seconds." Ward's jaw tightened. "Then we'll make it to..." Bloodstorm's weapon bays yawned open like the jaws of a predator. Inside, the Singularity Lance's core burned like a captive star, light twisting into itself until it was almost painful to look at. The energy containment rings glowed hotter and hotter, the red light across Bloodstorm's hull now a blinding scarlet blaze. "Lance at full charge," the weapons officer said. "Fire," Varric commanded. The space between the ships screamed, a ripple in reality as the Singularity. Lance fired. A beam of red-black energy tore through the void, dragging space along with it. The Aegis rolled hard, shields flaring under the first edge of the blast. Ward's voice was steady, almost calm. Now, the Aegis railguns roared, spitting. Tungsten slugs, wrapped in experimental gravitic sheaths. They slammed into Bloodstorm's, forward plating, not to pierce it, but to throw its magnetic containment off balance. On Bloodstorm's bridge, alarms erupted. Containment destabilizing. The officer shouted. "Compensate," Varric barked, but it was too late. The Singularity Lance's field collapsed inward, turning its own core into the heart of a micro-black hole, one anchored inside the ship. The blast was not an explosion, but an implosion. Bloodstorm's forward third bent inward, metal folding like cloth. Fire snuffed out into perfect blackness before the structure tore apart. The shockwave hit the Aegis like a hammer, hurling it sideways through space. Systems flickered, shields dropped, and for a moment the bridge went dark. When the lights came back, the view on the forward screen showed Bloodstorm still there, damaged, bleeding atmosphere, forward decks gone, but not destroyed. Its engines burned brighter than ever, and its remaining weapons were already turning toward the Aegis. "They're still operational," the tactical officer said, disbelief in his voice. Ward stood slowly, his silhouette framed against the broken starlight. "Good. I'm not done with them yet." Asterisk, the revelation hung in the air like a shadow that no light could erase. Bloods built with human technology. On the Aegis bridge, every eye turned to the captain. Ward didn't speak at first. His gaze was fixed on the broken, burning silhouette of the enemy ship on the forward screen. "How?" he asked at last. The AI voice was calm but edged with something deeper. "Memory. During the last war, Earth developed a project called Oblivion Forge. We built weapons beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. One of those prototypes vanished, stolen before it could be deployed. Its design, its core systems, its power arrays, all match Bloodstorm." Ward's hand tightened on the railing. "So this isn't just an enemy ship. It's ours, turned against us." Inside Bloodstorm, Captain Varric paced the flickering bridge. His engineers were working frantically to seal hull breaches. Sparks rained from torn ceilings, and the air was thick with the smell of burnt alloy. "Status?" he barked. "We've lost the Singularity Lance." The weapons officer replied. "Core damage is severe. but secondary weapons are online. We can still destroy them. Verak's expression hardened. This human relic had done more damage in one battle than entire fleets had managed in years. But he still had an advantage. The one thing his stolen ship had that the humans didn't. On the Aegis, the AI spoke again. "Captain, I have detected a command port embedded in their primary drive system. It's old, a direct link to Earth's military encryption from a century ago." Ward understood immediately, meaning if we can breach it, we can override Bloodstorm's systems, the AI confirmed. But the signal has to be sent at point-blank range, directly, into their core, and it must be maintained for 90 seconds to take effect. Ward smiled faintly. 90 seconds in the middle of their firing range. Easy. The crew moved fast. Engineering rerouted all available power to forward shields. Weapons recalibrated for suppression fire, not destruction. The Aegis engines flared hotter than they had all battle, pushing the battered ship into a headlong charge toward Bloodstorm. The damaged alien warship saw the move and reacted instantly. Plasma bolts streaked across the void, smashing into the Aegis shields, sending tremors through its frame. But Ward didn't slow dot. On Bloodstorm's bridge, Verak's voice rose. "They're charging us again." "Good, let them come." He leaned toward his gunnery officer. "Ready the fusion scatter cannons. When they're within 200 kilometers, turn them to dust." The officer grinned, his claws dancing over the controls. "Yes, Captain." The gap closed rapidly. At 100,000 kilometers, the space between the ships was alive with weapons fire. The Aegis rolled, ducked, and dove through incoming barrages, its shields flaring under each impact. On the bridge, the air was filled with the sharp scent of overheated systems. Shields at 40%. The tactical officer called. "Hold course," Ward ordered. His voice was iron dot. At 50,000 kilometers, Bloodstorm unleashed the scatter cannons. Blazing arcs of fusion fire filled the void, each one capable of vaporizing a cruiser in a single hit. The Aegis took the first volley head-on. The bridge shook violently, consoles sparked, and 2 crew members were thrown from their stations. Shields at 12%. Ward's knuckles went white around the arm of his chair. "We're not here to survive. We're here to finish this. Get us closer." At 10,000 kilometers, the AI's voice sharpened. "We are within transmission range, ready to initiate the override." "Do it," Ward said. A high-pitched hum filled the bridge as the Aegis communication array locked onto the Ancient. Port in Bloodstorm's drive core. The signal began to transmit a flood of code written in a language the galaxy had forgotten, but Bloodstorm could never erase. 90 seconds, the AI confirmed. Maintain link at all costs. Bloodstorm fought back hard. Every secondary cannon turned toward the Aegis, pouring fire into its weakened shields. Armor buckled, plating tore away. The Aegis hull temperature spiked dangerously. On the bridge, warning lights flared crimson. "Hull breach on decks 5 through 7. Seal them," Ward snapped. "We hold this link or Earth burns." Inside Bloodstorm, Verak saw the flicker in his control panels. Systems lagged. Weapons hesitated before firing. His voice was a roar. "They're inside our systems. Cut them off." His engineers worked frantically, but the code was old, far older than their understanding. Every firewall they threw up was torn down in seconds. The human virus wasn't just fighting them, it knew them. 30 seconds, the AI reported. The Aegis shields failed entirely. Direct fire slammed into the hull, throwing sparks and shrapnel through the bridge. One console exploded. In a burst of flame and smoke filled the air. 10 seconds. On the final second, the AI's voice shifted deeper, commanding. Override complete. Bloodstorm went still. Its weapons powered down. Engines cut out. Across its massive hull, lights flickered and died. In the silence of space, the once invincible warship drifted like a corpse. Ward exhaled slowly. Target their core and eject it into deep space. The Aegis tractor beams locked onto the damaged drive core, ripped it from Bloodstorm's heart, and flung it into the void, where it detonated in a silent flash of light. On the Aegis bridge, the crew stared at the forward screen in stunned quiet. The most dangerous ship in the galaxy was gone. Ward stood, his voice calm but resolute. Send a message to the Council. Tell them Earth is safe. And to remember this day the next time they think we're weak.